Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad you're here this morning. Got a great show lineup. Have a guest here in the studio with a lot of good information that you will enjoy and you will benefit from. We'll start with our weather from Haney Technical Center at 767-5500. Run by and see Principal Mike Heppenstall and the staff there, very able-bodied staff, and have a lot of different things to offer you as an outdoorsman, as a productive member of our society. A lot of good things you can learn at Haney Technical Center. High today is going to be 89, low tonight 68, and the water temperature stays at 80 degrees. Been that way about over 2 weeks now. That's a good steady temperature right there. Take a look at our Carl Burnham Marine Specialties tide chart. I was looking yesterday. I said it was the 28th, but if you look on the 23rd, which was yesterday, doesn't that look like an 8? My wife got on to me for saying that, but yesterday was the 23rd and today's the 24th. So looking at it, we're like at high tide at 11:20. Right in the middle of the day is going to be the high tide, and then a strong outgoing tide all afternoon. Same way the next couple of days. So we got really strong tides. That's brought to us by Carl Burnham Marine Specialties. Carl builds docks and seawalls and boat lifts and anything along the waterfront that you may need. Okay, that takes care of our weather, and we'll get started right after this break.
Your vision is precious. If an emergency arises, you don't want to be sitting in a hospital waiting room. Accidents and injuries can happen outside of your workday. That's why our team of physicians provide emergency eye care to our patients anytime, day or night. You can count on your local experts in eye care to be there for you whenever you need us. The Eye Center of North Florida.
9 doctors, 1 vision, yours.
At Panhandle Educators, we offer full-service banking.
We're 5-star rated.
A safe place for your money.
Find us anytime, anywhere.
Or come see us on Highway 77 north of the mall. On the east side, across from Rutherford High School.
Come see us at the beach on R. Jackson Boulevard.
We're here in Southport on Highway 77.
Live or work in Bay, Holmes, Jackson, or Washington County? You can be a member.
Join us. We'll take care of you.
The letter X. It's one tough letter, and the only one that stands for something. It's the mark of the unknown factor, the spot of the buried treasure, the model of rugged beauty. But what really sets it apart is its power to multiply everything.
Sweet old Bob says see and save on all Exmark products today at Soul Tractor.
We are so lucky to live in North Florida. We have some of the best fresh and saltwater fishing in the world. My biggest problem is not catching fish, but trying to decide what kind of fish I want to catch. No matter what I'm after, I always stop at Sunjammers Water Sports first. They have just what I need: rods and reels, line, tackle, and most important, live bait. Yes, sir, we sure are lucky.
All right, welcome back. Here with a familiar face again, Captain Ken Paramore.
Good morning. Good morning. Glad to be here.
Good to have you, Ken. It's always dependable. Count on Ken once a month coming in here talking about all kind of news from the FWC, and we were just talking about it before we came back on the air. Safe boating, the importance of it. It's the National Safe Boating Week.
Yep, we're right in the middle of National Safe Boating Week, and it's about to get really busy on the water, and as you know, Snapper is June 1st, and Memorial Weekend is traditionally the biggest, or one of the biggest boating weekends that we have. Mm-hmm. Everybody has coming off their winter and spring, and they got their boats tuned up, and they want to get on the water, and that's a 3-day weekend, and it looks like we're going to have decent weather to have them be able to do that. But with that becomes the traditional educational approach that we take and try to educate them before they get started to be mindful of their safety equipment, their overindulgence of alcohol or the possibility thereof, and operation of the boat in a safe manner. So we do have a safe 3-day weekend and not a 3-day weekend with someone with a tragedy in their family, and that has happened, as you know. Obviously, the biggest three things with me would be life jackets, having one for each person on board. Ideally, would be wearing one at the time. These new inflatables or newer inflatables are less cumbersome, not as big, and they do the same job, but you do have to have them on for them to count towards your number, plus the fact that they're more readily accessible if you're wearing them than if they're stowed underneath a compartment somewhere. Next thing would be drinking. There's nothing in the law that says you cannot have and be drinking on a boat. But if you drink too much where your faculties are impaired, you pretty much face the same penalties if you're driving down the highway in an automobile, if you're caught and you're over. The third thing is maintain a lookout. You got to remember, boats don't have brakes, and so if someone cuts in front of you, personal watercraft gets too close, there's a need for you to take evasive action. You've got to be on your toes and have that lookout so you can take that action, because you can't push the brake pedal and stop. So those three things to me, not to mention your flares and the other required safety equipment, but it's a good idea to have a kill switch attached to you, even on an outboard boat, because if you come out of the boat and you've got your inflatable on, that's going to either you'll be able to deploy it or it'll go off by itself. And you also pull the kill switch lanyard, which will kill your engine, which your boat won't go in circles and run you over because you've killed the engine. But if you go overboard with the boat running, the torque of the engine is going to turn that motor, and that boat's going to start circling right where you went in the water at. And eventually it can run you over.
Yeah, one of the boating accidents, I keep a file over the years of all the boating accidents here in the Panhandle, and we'll go over them in class. And one of the accidents we have is one that happened fast. The eyewitnesses were sitting at Uncle Ernie's having a Saturday afternoon meal, and they were watching a boat that did exactly what you said out there. They hit a wave, it threw them out, and just kept going around and around.
And it'll do it until either it stops, or it runs out of fuel.
And they talk about that in class, and there was no fatalities in that accident, but one of the boys got cut up pretty bad.
Right, and you think, well, if it comes by me, I'll be able to push away from it, but you can't. It'll run you over.
Well, that's funny you said that, because one of the students said when he came around like that, he would just jump back on it. I said, I don't think you're going to be able to do that.
And if you slip off, you're going to go right back under the prop.
Yeah, that's a dangerous thing to do.
It's better to get away from it, but it's even better to have that kill switch attached, and it'll turn off. But while we're at it, I did bring a couple of examples of how these life jackets have evolved over the years, and these two particularly can be worn around your waist. And as you can see, it just has one strap that goes around your waist, and it's a little maybe 12 by 4 inch a package, if you will. The CO2 canister is in there, and all you have to do is pull this yellow lanyard, and it will inflate just like a wearable life jacket would. It kind of lays out in front of you, and all you do is put it on over your head and neck, and you've got your life preserver on. This is another different brand, the same effect. It just goes around your waist with a lanyard down, and it'll go off, and you'll have a full-fledged life jacket on. But as you can see, there's and this has an extra attached to it, but there's no weight to them. They're not hot. They're not cumbersome. And
they both come out to be a full vest, right?
They come out to be a full, inflated life vest that you can put on, and it'll keep you afloat.
I like this extra canister too. That's good to have one of those on there.
Yeah, and they do have the rearm kits for them. So if you do happen to use one, or one gets wet and it does go off, particularly if it's an automatic one, those are both manual. You just rearm them. You just buy a rearm kit and you just fold it back up in there, and you're good to go.
Okay, that's really good right there.
It's come a long way, but we do want to remind people too, if they paddleboard, a paddleboard, if it's not in a bathing or a swimming area, is considered a vessel, like a canoe. And so you will need one of these to be on board your paddleboard if you paddleboard fish or paddleboard for recreation. A lot of paddleboarders will just put them on the You'll see them tied to the front of the paddle board. Or for these, you can just put them around your waist. So.
All right, that takes care of it all. You could always have those up in just a regular life jackets, but these are so much more convenient now.
And these, again, to count towards your number, you have to wear it. You can't stow this one and have it count.
What do your guys wear out on the water? They have a vest, don't they? It seems like I've seen
They
them.
have a little bigger than this one, but this is almost a full-size one.
Okay.
As you can see, they're a lot less cumbersome and they're smaller, but we have to wear this type on patrol.
Okay.
It's the same thing, except when it inflates, it's already around our neck. So if you're knocked unconscious or it'll blow up and float you, and you don't have to pull a lanyard because it's automatic, and it's already around your neck. That's the only difference.
Yeah, I've seen you guys wear those.
Yeah, we're required to wear them anytime we're on the water.
Okay. All right, let's take our break, and we'll be right back with more info for you.
Clay O'Neill's Land Clearing. When you need land clearing, pond digging, road building, or any type of excavation, Clay O'Neill's Land Clearing is fully equipped to handle it. If the job is big or small, he covers it all, serving the Florida Panhandle from Madison County to Escambia County. He's just a phone call away. Hey, thanks, Clay, for another job well done.
Harold Milling Company, rough and tough dog food. Harold Milling Company builds it. They build hog feed, they build dairy feed, they make chicken feed. They have specialty feeds for rabbits. If you got a worm farm, grandmother used to have a worm farm. Look at the Harold Milling Company. You want to go down and get you, the dog's not running anymore. That's all over with. You want to get that 16% and drop down from the 26% protein. You don't want old Rover to get fat. Harold Milling Company, you can buy at almost any feed store in the Panama City area.
Steel, the #1 selling brand of handheld outdoor power equipment in America.
Right now, dependable grass trimmers start at just $159.95.
For cleanup, hard-working steel blowers start at $149.95.
Plus, double your limited warranty with your Steel product purchase.
Start easier, work smarter, finish faster with Steel, #1 in America.
Guido Bob says see and save today and every day on all Steel outdoor products at Soul Tractor.
When you stop by Blue Water Outriggers, you will find everything for your outdoor adventure. Stock up on all your favorite brands and shop for some of the latest outdoor gear and accessories. You can also shop online and have your orders delivered straight to your home. Our flagship store is nestled right off of Highway 98 in the Port City Shopping Center, just steps away from the Port St. Joe Marina. You will love our selection, our prices, and our friendly service.
All right, welcome back, folks. Sitting here with Ken Paramore, head of the Law Enforcement Division of FWC in this area here, and got a lot of good information. But let's get started first with a good picture sent to us by a good fan of ours, Bill Barlow. He was out fishing the other day and said he caught this big curl in North Bay. That's the only bite now he had in 3 hours. So this past weekend, I've heard a lot of people didn't catch a lot of fish this past weekend. He said I was using a Menhaden, a 4-inch size, and I actually thought that bait was a little big, but when I cleaned the fish, I found a 6-inch bait inside the stomach. So, that shows right there that those fish are going to hit some big bait. And that's his tip of the day. If you want to catch big trout, use big bait. Good job, Bill. That's a nice fish.
I know Bill.
You do? He fishes. He enjoys fishing a lot.
Yeah, he likes to fish.
He does. Okay, then our photographer, unofficial outdoor photographer, Tom Gurley, sent this picture here of this is a great picture he took. Now, look where he found this. You don't always have to be in the wild to find wildlife. I just found this osprey on a light pole at Pete Edwards Football Stadium just off Thomas Drive near the Navy base. There's a mama osprey on the right and at least 2 of the chicks on the left there. The other chick popped up. It had 3 little birds in there. So right there, you're right. We have a nest down there. I used to coach track, and every year we'd watch Tommy Oliver Stadium. In the afternoon,
light poles and
those poles down there,
power poles, and
I know y'all see them on the power poles up in the woods and all.
Yeah, people complain about them sometimes. But
yeah,
they're not too picky about where they put their nests.
They're good fishermen too.
Yeah, they are.
They have to. Okay, now we were talking about fishing. We got red snapper season right around the corner.
Right, as you know, a week from tomorrow will be opening of red snapper season for 40 days, which runs I think through July the 10th. And everybody, as you know, since last July, what was it, 18th maybe last year, I've been waiting on red snapper to open back up, and so it's going to be here. And there's a pretty important thing I want to cover this morning about red snapper and reef fish in particular, the groupers too when they open. And that is, I've gotten several complaints lately, we've received them, about people not properly venting their snapper or grouper or other reef fish before they release them. In particular, I was able to go to a training session the other day on the proper way to vent a red snapper. And you know, you go in a couple inches behind the pectoral fin and you try to use a 16 gauge hollow needle and go in on a 45-degree angle. You don't want to go straight in, and you go in on a 45, and you can hear that air release. But the complaints that we're receiving anymore is people, when they bring them on deck, they put a knife in their stomach, straight in, throw them back overboard. Or, for those who red snapper and reef fish, you know, when you bring that fish up and there's a pink-looking ball in their mouth, a lot of people think that's their air bladder. And actually, that's their stomach. The air bladder is in the back towards the anal part of the fish. And it pushes, when it inflates because of that pressure when it's coming up, it pushes the stomach inside the mouth. Well, a lot of people have the misconception that that's the air bladder, and that's what they should vent. So you'll see them put the knife or the needle in that. But what they're doing is putting a hole in the fish's stomach. They're not putting a hole in the air bladder. So when they throw the fish back overboard, the fish, if it's able to get its stomach back where it belongs, it probably will die because it has a hole in its stomach. And so the bacteria and all from the digestion of the fish is going to create a problem for the fish. So we would like to ask that anybody who goes and catches these reef fish vent them the proper way, because it is the law, number one. You have to have the vent tool, the dehooking device, and you have to use them. And we applaud that they use them, but we'd also like for them to use them in the right way. Because if you don't do it the right way, let's say you go in with your 16 gauge needle straight down through behind the pec fin, you're going to put a hole in all those innards as well as the bladder there, and that's not good. A lot of them would just put a knife in the stomach underneath where the anal vent is or something, and you may not hit the bladder, or you're going to hit other things too. Yeah. So it's really important to vent those fish the proper way.
And you think everyone knows that, but boy, a lot of people don't know that.
No, and a lot of them is just that, you know, there's just been no education on it.
I've been on private boats and head boats where this has been done, and they really, they just don't know. They just don't know. And I tell everybody. I tell even if they're the captain of the boat or whatever. But most times the captain knows of these little private boats I go on. But even on those other boats, once you tell them, they'll do it right. It's not that hard.
You know, because those fish that we're releasing, particularly during close season, and or undersized fish, are going to be the fish that we're going to use in the years to come.
And everybody wants to save those fish, and they thought, you know, everybody that I talked to thought that's how you do it. You know, I said, no, you do it this way, and they're fine with it. They'll do it from there.
You can hear that air when you go in there.
Yeah.
But when you see that pink-looking ball inside their mouth sticking there, it's not their air bladder. That's their stomach.
Yeah.
And if you put a hole in it, you think you're doing the right thing, but you're putting a hole in the wrong bladder.
And that's something that we as outdoorsmen, we just need to educate our fellow outdoorsmen on it. You know, we can't depend on FWC to do all of it. I mean, they can't reach everybody. And like I say, we're on boats with other people and all, and make sure they do it right. That's happened a lot to me the last 2 years. I've seen that happen. So.
And the other thing we learned about the bigger the snapper are, the more what they call the breeding sows. And actually, they encourage the releasing of the smaller fish, the fish between 16 and, releasing the big fish, and keeping the fish between the 16 and 20 inch, because the bigger the red snapper are, the more apt they are to be those breeding sows, and they produce a lot more eggs than a 17-inch fish.
Yeah, and you can see a lot of times they just have that big old bag hanging on, they just full of eggs, and that was the same way with speckled trout too. If you catch a big female speckled trout that's got a big bulge in it,
Right.
man, that's a lot of little baby speckled trout that's going to be hatching. So we always encourage releasing those.
And that's just encouraged. I mean, you can only get your 2 fish, and if you want a big fish, have at it. But
All right, let's take our last break. We'll be back with a lot more good info.
You think of a successful hunting season, 2 things come to mind: Browning and C&G Sporting Goods. Browning is the best there is, and C&G Sporting Goods is your factory direct, full-line Browning dealer. C&G stocks Browning guns, camo, knives, scopes, gun safes, bows, and much more, including hunting and fishing license. Look over the new Browning BAR camo short track and X-Bolt rifles. Why pay good money for anything less than a Browning? Browning and C&G, the best there is. Home of the experts.
When you have work to do, get it done with a Kubota. Kubota is the top choice for reliability, efficiency, and value. And right now, during Kubota Rewards, take advantage of 0 down and 0% APR for up to 60 months on new Kubota utility and ag tractors, tractor loader backhoes, and utility vehicles. It pays to own Orange. See your Kubota dealer today.
See and save on all Kubota tractors and equipment at Sowell Tractor today.
Bill Kramer's Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC is Panama City's exclusive full-line dealership, built on a 45-year foundation of trust and total customer satisfaction in all departments, including our huge pre-owned department, where we'll pay top dollar for your current automobile as a trade-in, or we'll place your vehicle on our lot and help you sell it. At Bill Kramer's Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC. 4 decades, 3 generations, 1 tradition.
Sunrise to sunset. A walk through nature takes you on a journey of Florida's Emerald Coast. You'll encounter the wildlife, birds, lighthouses, indigenous to the beautiful land and seascapes of Florida. Set to the sounds of nature and enhanced with easy listening music. Only $14.95 plus $4.95 shipping and handling. NatureWalkDVD.com or send check or money order to the address on the screen. A walk through nature. Visually stunning.
Welcome back, folks. Glad you're with us this morning. Let's first take a look at Express Lane Fish and Game forecast for today. Our peak times we're looking at this morning from 3:18 to 5:18 this morning. We'll wrap that one up. But this afternoon, 3:43 to 5:43. Excellent outdoor time brought to us by Express Lane, American owned and American operated. We were talking about boating safety and all. I brought up an airboat because I was reading on your website the other day, there was a boating fatality down in Central Florida or South Central Florida, where this lady was in the back of the airboat, and her boyfriend did not know that she was back there, and he started it popped up, and it called her. She was in a transom back there and called her. I know you spent a lot of time in law enforcement down in that part of the state.
Yeah, I spent half of my career in South Florida and operating airboats, running that part of the Everglades and the northern part, and heard about that and seen it. Have people lose limbs, and they'd be reaching in there and somebody either started, or they, for some reason, they put their hand in there when it's running, or there's an accident and they end up back there somehow. Yeah. The cage breaks or something, and they go back there, and they're a lot of fun, but they can be dangerous.
I have a vivid memory of my freshman year at the University of Florida there in Gainesville. Some of the guys said, "You got to go to Shands Hospital, look at the emergency room bulletin board." And I said, so a lot of us guys went over and looked at it, and what it was they started keeping pictures back then, of course, almost Polaroid shots of people who had been involved in an airboat, and you could see where the prop had just cut their back and all. We all made a trip over there just to look at it. It was gruesome, but it was so reality. That was way back in the '60s.
It's an eye opener. It shows you can't be too careful around machinery.
Yeah.
And whether it be an outboard or an airboat, or I guess people don't walk in front of airplanes when they're running. That could be catastrophic as well. So.
Well, now your guys, it's pretty. You say it's pretty slow time, which is good for y'all, for us.
It's it's fixing to get busy. Obviously, it's been a slow few weeks. Although we have had about 3 cases made off of Gulf County and Mexico Beach with people keeping snapper during closed season in the last
already
week and a half, 2 weeks. So I guess you know, we had one fella, he had 2 big ones in the cooler, and when the officer asked him, he said, I just couldn't throw them back. I couldn't make myself throw them back. You know, they're just too big and too pretty, and it's been too long. So he took a chance and he got caught. Yeah. And the officer asked him when he stopped him, do you have any fish on board? And no. So he looked in his cooler, and there were these 2 20+ inch red snapper. And you know, like I used to tell him, do what you can afford.
Well, that's amazing and all. Also, we've been getting some good reports of flounder guys out at night catching flounder and gigging flounder.
And you know, the nights, it blows in the afternoon, but you know, it's been calm the last few weeks at night. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure with that water and that moon gone, like you said the other day, and the water being flat, it's probably ideal for floundering if you can find them.
We got the outgoing tide going out in the first part of the night and all, and if you can, catch a tail end of that, it's a good time to go.
While we're talking about that, just remind people that it's a little tough to gauge how big they are when you want to make sure they're of size, because everything looks bigger when it's under the water and a little magnified, and I'm sure the ones who are veterans, they know and how to ID the ones that are legal size, but just be careful of the size of them. And
this always comes up too. Gig and mullet. Now that's legal.
Right.
You gig and mullet. A lot of times we get pictures of about 5 or 6 flounder and 2 or 3
absolutely
mullet, and that's okay. And that sort of adds to the pot right there. It is legal to do that.
And they're good eating.
They are good eating. Yep. But now you can't gig a redfish or trout.
No.
You don't want to gig those. You don't see a lot of those at night. They're not going to get that close to you. But mullet now, they're going to get up there around that light too.
And in that shallow water.
Yeah, in that shallow water.
Around that shallow water.
Well, Ken, we got a minute or 2 left. Have you had a chance to do much fishing all yourself?
No. My son has gone quite a bit. He caught a nice blackfin tuna last Wednesday. That thing was probably pushing 20 pounds. It was a nice one, and I will tell you, those little peanut schoolie dolphin are out there everywhere.
Yeah.
People who are going out 10 to 20 miles, maybe even over 20, those weed patches are out there and aren't having any problem catching those little, peanut schoolie type mahi, if you will. And him and another guy caught their limit of those.
Yeah.
The other day, a blackfish tuna. Kingfish are there. Plenty of kingfish still being caught. So it's right. Yeah. It's right here.
And your guys are seeing a lot of that stuff too, I guess, when they're out on the water and all. I know off the pier they caught some nice tuna and they caught some sailfish off the pier.
Yeah, some sailfish. And grouper will be open in another almost a little over a month on this side of the world. So everybody will be after the gags, I'm sure.
And I continue to get good reports of grouper fishing down in Carabel, in shallow water. So I had one guy brought in 2 that total pounds was 35 pounds for those 2 big groupers. That was good. His boat did good. We've run out of time, Ken. Thank you, buddy.
Enjoyed it.
All right.
See you next month.
We will. I want to thank y'all for watching the show. We appreciate your viewership, and today you have a chance to do something good for somebody. Take advantage of it. God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.